We're waving. Come on, come on. We are live. We are live. Everyone's happy. Welcome to the live stream. It's 3:00 East Coast time on Friday. Good Friday. It's so good that I brought Jared and Ashley here because if we want good information and good news, it's just not the Easter story. It's AI and ways in which it is helping dealers be more efficient to deliver a higher level of customer service. So we're really excited. Hey, everyone knows who I am, and Glenn, you're no stranger. So Jared, let's start with you. Give us a little background of what you're doing now, and at a high level, what Connect AI is doing.
No, thanks, Brian, for having me as always, and it's a pleasure to see everybody again. Connect AI, we are growing to be the AI SMS communication platform for the industry in a way that it's very conversational. So started about 10 years ago. As you can tell with everything going in today's marketplace, the growth has been exponential and for multiple reasons with multiple use cases.
Great. And Ashley, you and Jared share something in common. Your websites end in AI. How is Proactive Dealer Solutions delivering unprecedented results through your implementation of AI on the phones?
Yeah, so thanks for the question. Brooke kind of got started out of the need for somebody to answer the phone during COVID. Proactive had already been in the BDC industry for years. We had millions of phone calls, recorded calls that we could dump into a machine and really teach Brooke how customers ask questions, how customers talk about problems with their vehicles, the real ways that customers communicate with a service drive, which is often very different from one person to the next. So the results we've had have been incredible. I mean, we're over 250 stores now, and some of them have tangible results where they say, hey, Brooks increased our CSI 3.5%. And some say it's not tangible, but I know that there's nobody showing up at my office door crying. Brooke hasn't quit yet, and we've already lost 75% of our workforce in a year. So, there's tangible and intangible results that dealers are seeing through the use of Brooke AI.
Great. Well, thanks for those introductions. Glenn, your specialty at the Pash Group is sales process and leadership, and you've been doing CRM audits continually to identify gaps in the sales process or when people give up. I've sat through your presentations, and you would say, hey, you guys do a great job for the first 3 or 4 days, and then all communication stops, or you're over communicating in the first 10 days with 3 or 4 different people. The customer is confused. When you think about AI being implemented in the sales process, are dealers more interested in getting started, or are they still somewhat reluctant?
I think the progressive dealers are asking the question of how can I use this to fill in the gaps, because what happens, whether it's a BDC or salespeople, people have to take days off, and no one has thought through or really mapped it out that if Jared submits a lead in and I do my interaction with him on day one, but tomorrow's my day off, nobody steps in. They haven't used a person to say, okay, Brian, I need you to jump in to Glenn's lead box and communicate with Jared. So all of a sudden we've disappeared where AI can fill those gaps. Where I see the problem is that a lot of dealers just think, well, now I have it and I don't have to really customize it to what I'm trying to do.
Good
and
point.
So that's where the overlap happens, or people think I'm talking to 2 or 3 people. And you also have to coach your team that they still have to be present. They can't just go, well, I'm not going to do it because, the AI is going to take over. So I think the more, and these 2 folks do a great job of it, the more that they can understand how this is going to help maximize these opportunities that you've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to get to your website to communicate with you.
Right.
I think they're going to win.
Great, great. And this live stream is part of a series of live stream every Friday. We're going to do leading up to the Digital Marketing Strategies Conference. It's in Austin, Texas this year, and May 21, 22, 23. And one of the themes at the conference will be the practical uses of AI. Now, we've seen ChatGPT and the amazing content it could write. We've seen AI-driven video editing, graphics. But when it comes to the pain points at dealerships, the two things where they have the biggest problem every single day has always been in consistent lead follow-up and consistency on the phone. Yes, you could do cool SEO stuff. And yes, might save time in building better videos, but the two business functions. So let's talk about that. Jared, I met your leadership team recently. You spoke at the Automotive CXO Network in Scottsdale. People were really impressed with the direction of the company. If a dealer isn't using AI in their lead follow-up process, in their texting communication, we know texting is so much more effective than, say, email. What's one use case with a particular dealer that comes to mind that's just, Brian, this is not a unicorn. This is happening for many, many of our clients. Give me a use case. If you could summarize what that lift or change in the customer experience was for a dealer.
No, Brian, great question. And there's so many use cases to it. As you mentioned, the issues currently in the automotive industry, it's hard to focus on just one. But I use the analogy here when I'm working with dealers and talking with dealers, like we talked earlier today, it's the offense versus defense strategy. And that is the strategy. In terms of the defensive component, think of basketball. That is our lead handling. That's our after hours. That's our outbound components of things coming into us. But AI gives us the ability to do so much more. We look at where we were the past 18 months. Glenn, you see this all the time when you're in stores doing the audit, and you look at how many active opportunities we have inside of these CRM systems over the last 18 months, that the vehicle of interest doesn't exist because we purely have sold through. We know collectively the likeliness for a salesperson or BDC person to complete a task where the vehicle is not in stock diminishes greatly because they don't know what to say and how to overcome it.
Right. And they may not know, right, Jared? They may not know even what vehicles they could suggest that would be a equivalent feature, value, or price.
And this right here is just one of many use cases of AI that we can take this data out of the CRMs that we have this deep level integration with, produce a conversation to make the guest aware, which they probably already know the vehicle's no longer there, and find out what exactly it was that brought them to that vehicle. Find out what they're open to CPO or used or alternative new vehicles. And then with our integrations with inventory feeds, we can actually produce options for them based upon what they are telling us through AI and giving them alternatives. So I look at it as opportunity to regenerate some opportunities we've spent thousands of dollars on marketing on, but two, and I know you love this, Brian, it's a data cleanup element too for not only your CRM, for marketing, for CDP, but also for your sales team's bandwidth. So you're not calling the lead from 3 months ago and getting all these tasks when they're no longer in the market. So that's right. Just one instance of application that I'm really excited to bring to DMSC.
Right. And the use case is when you add up not only the time savings, which is significant, the increased at-bats, getting leads revitalized, re-engaged, then of course the customer experience. It's really the trifecta that we're going to be talking about at DMSC. Ashley, I want to pivot. Car dealers probably have one awesome BD rep, the best, the most knowledgeable, the most senior, can pivot really quickly. But there's always that unicorn. And then the rest well, there's a lot of rotation. And sometimes I think dealers think like, well, I wouldn't want AI to answer my phone calls because we do a great job. What they're really doing is projecting this one superstar across the whole group. But what we really know is that from Car Wars and call review and call, so I've been through all the scoring ranges of BD agents. Always, there's a wide delta, and yet Brooke can consistently collect information, ask the right questions, offer loaners, and do real deep engagement. Why do you think dealers are still somewhat reluctant of turning over a chunk of those repetitive, low-hanging fruit calls to AI?
I think one of the biggest reasons is because other industries haven't done it right.
Mm,
Other industries have pushed out products that frustrate people versus products that really do help. You know, the banks and the airlines and credit card companies, and to tag on to your point about the one BDC agent that does a really good job, you know, usually that one becomes off the phone. That one gets promoted to manager.
that's
Um,
right.
and then the rest of the agents are left floundering, handling unexpected peak times. Like, where's the time to train if all you're doing all day is answering calls that Brooke can routinely handle? I mean, you still have to consider the human element of an upset customer, a customer who needs help in an emergency, how to calm a customer down. And if you don't have time to take your agents off the phone, and that's true in sales too. If you don't have time to take your agents off the phone and train them, then you're always going to have the one manager, and then that manager is going to leave for you know, a finance job or somewhere else, and you're just always, it's just an endless train in the BDC. We've seen some, McKenna Cars is one that I can think of, out in California. The BDC manager, she was hired and 2 days later told, you're installing Brooke in your BDC. You have 2 agents, 6 stores. Good luck. She now has 8 agents and they all love Brooke. They consider Brooke a part of the team. And she has time to really sit down and train and grow her people and leave the mundane and the repetitive calls to Brooke to handle. Even if Brooke's only taking your express service calls or your after hours, I mean, you're still giving those opportunities to the BDC to grow.
You know, Glenn, you see this all the time, and Jared and Ashley brought this up, is that there's a lot of low-hanging fruit that can be handled perfectly, and the customers are perfectly satisfied through automation, giving the sales agents, the BD agents, the service advisors more time to generate the revenue on those more difficult cases or those deals, as they say, with little hair on them. Would you agree that most dealers in their BDs or their sales to lead ratio are just overwhelming people, and regardless of how good they are, they're missing a tremendous upside because they're just giving too many tasks to each person? What are you seeing in the field?
That's exactly it. I mean, if you just think about a lead coming in, and in theory, you say, I would like to make a phone call, a text, and an email to Jared or to Ashley, whoever the lead is, every day for 5 days. But most people are going to go, yeah, but my lead handling process is 30 days or 60 days or 120 days, whatever. Nobody's making a day 30 phone call. Nobody cares to. If you think it's happening, it's not. So when you really look at it and you go into a dealership and you say, well, listen, you're spending all of this money to generate these opportunities. And then you're just saying, well, Jared can handle 300 leads. Like, no, he can't. Now, maybe, again, you have to really look at it and say, well, what is he doing with those 300 leads? Is he answering the phone too? Is he just doing the first 2-3 days? There is no number. It has to be the process. But I think the bigger problem that I see is that I don't think the staff really understands it, and maybe some dealers don't, is that idea of the funnel, where if you think of all of the people who are on a website, the websites we've been looking at are 15, 20, 25, 30,000 people.
A
If
month.
you're getting 10%, you're doing cartwheels down the street. But if you're getting 5%, you're still going, well, wait a minute. There was 20,000 people on my website and I got 500. That means there's 19,000 people who weren't ready to give me their name. But when those 500 people gave me their name, we should be doing everything
Amen.
to get to them as fast as possible with the information that they want. And you can't go, 2 people, and then wonder why it's not working. But if I said you really need 5 people, they're going, I can't have all of that. And I'm like, then cut your marketing down. No, I need leads. Well, then handle your leads. Well, they can do it, but they're not doing it. But now we have technology to help. So I think it's just re-educating their brain and really mapping it out to show them where you had used the word before, the delta. I think
Right.
we get so focused on what we sold or the amount of leads that we got, and we're missing the delta of what we're losing, what's falling through the
Right.
strainer, so to speak. And Brooke and Connect and AI can patch up and save some more. It's not going to save everything, but why
Well,
wouldn't
but
you
it's
wanna?
it's about scale and gaps. So, for example, Ashley, a normal BD agent may be able to book, 100 appointments in a given time period, but Brooke could book 500. I mean, you have to just look at the math. The ability for people, Jared, to follow up with customers via text. How many of those text messages are going to actually be done versus scheduling them on a workflow? Ashley, when dealers ask you, what's the equivalent FTE, full-time employee, that Brooke delivers as far as appointments and calls? What's that kind of ratio? Because I think at the end of the day, we need to look at the math. And that will be helpful. Jared's back now. Jared just burped. So Ashley, how would you answer that? Hey, I got 4 BD agents. We're not getting to all the calls. We have hangups. We have abandons. We're not getting to declined services. We're not getting to recall calls. You say, hey, put in Brooke. Is it 1 FTE? Is it 2 FTE? Is it equivalent of 3 FTE? What would you tell a dealer?
I actually just spoke to a dealer down in Georgia about this, and they're still a little bit more fresh on the system, but right off the bat for them, Brooke replaced 1.5 agents is what he said. But then that's not where Brooke stops. That was only giving Brooke the lower margins. That was only giving Brooke the overflow and the after hours, and giving their BDC a little bit more time for declined services. And they haven't even started to touch their PACE leads or their OEM leads. They haven't even started to find all of the missing opportunities. They just said, hey, Brooke, handle the calls. We'll go after the other lowest hanging fruit on the outbound side. But the more you give to Brooke, so usually what a dealer will do is say, okay, fine. Brooke can be my backup, my overflow. If we miss a call, great, Brooke will catch it. And by 30, 45 days with Brooke live, a lot of them are already changing their minds, saying, you know what? Put her up front. Let her take the easy calls. And it's a better experience for the customer who hasn't already sat on hold and then got to an AI. They start with the AI, or they have the option of saying, I don't want to talk to the AI. Give me an agent. That's fine.
But I think to what you were just saying, Ashley, I think what is the huge upside opportunity of all of the potential things that they could be doing. Like, again, this is where that delta is. We're focused on the leads that are coming in. But what about, to Jared's points, the leads from a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago that just decided? What about service? What about follow-up call? I mean, there's so many places that you have potential to communicate and retain your customers over that I sell a car, if it's at least 3 years or 5 years, what am I doing? What could I do with Brooke or an AI like Connect AI over that journey to just keep people never thinking about anybody else but me? And there's so many buckets that we're only focusing. I think most dealers are only focusing on maybe 25% of how they could leverage all of this AI to generate more opportunities, retain more customers.
Right. And,
Yeah.
and that's a good point. Jared, we would not want people to think of Connect AI as a assistant in following up with inbound leads, but it is really integrated into the whole sales process and the continual reactivation and outreach to existing customers as well. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Correct. So it's not just a inbound lead, one and done type of handling like that's been out there since I've been in retail that we've had 3 or 4 years ago.
Right.
This is something that's engaging with the leads. It's starting and stopping based upon activity that the sales team does. So there's no stepping on toes, which I think, Brian, is another point where a lot of dealers are afraid of incorporating AI because of the past history. It's like,
right,
oh, well,
like Conversica, right? Conversica was one of those early things, and Glenn and I, it was like swatting, like whack-a-mole. You would be like, man, you go into a dealer, and man, every Conversica was stepping on
Everybody.
everyone, and then the product went away from automotive, right? And now I see they're back in automotive. I haven't seen the new platform, but I think that gave dealers a bad taste about some type of automated follow-up.
100%. And I think that's something that not only is affecting ourselves at Connect AI, but also, Ashley, with you at Brooke as well, because we still have a massive education that we have to do as an industry to what AI is in automotive.
Today.
Yeah, because if we go to Digital Dealer, we go to DMSC, Brian, and somebody goes and signs up with Connect AI, and they think this is going to solve not only lead handling and outreach, but hey, it's going to answer the phones too. I've checked the box, and there's such an education behind it that Brooke and Connect can really play together very, very well.
That's right.
To help grow, depending upon what is needed.
That's right. And in the notes, I put a link to the research reports that we've recently released, and I encourage everyone who's viewing this video over the next few days to download a copy of the Brooke AI research report that we did. It was very, very thorough, and I think will be very educational. I want to thank Beth Braswell from working with your team that did such a great job on that. And then I also put the link to DMSC. As Jared said, it's about education, and that's why Glenn and I wanted to do these little series of live streams. DMSC this year is uniquely situated to give dealers the educational and training and mentoring opportunities they need in a few areas. Okay, AI is today's conversation, but first-party data management and privacy, data activation through customer data platforms, marketing automation, new ways to get one-to-one communication or near one-to-one communication to your customers, talking about new technologies that really need to be explained. I mean, most dealers don't understand the difference between marketing automation and a CDP. As Jared mentioned, and Ashley, it's like there's some bad experiences. Personally, the worst voice assistance is in the credit cards. Holy cow. Those phone trees. I mean, I get lost. I get frustrated to the point where I'm going to cancel my card because I can't get to the right person. Thankfully, United and Delta do a pretty decent job, but not in their texting platform. The other day I was having a problem and I was texting with Delta and I was like, this is the stupidest rollout that, because on every call, Delta says, if you'd like to save time, just text with our automated attendant. And I'm like, shoot me first. I'm not doing it. It's horrible. Ashley, when we think of Brooke, most people are thinking about inbound phone calls. What about outbound phone calls? We are not calling people on lapsed service intervals. We're not calling people when recalls are newly opened. let alone decline services, which are really a lot of money on the table. Where is Brooke in its ability to do outbound calling based on triggers in the DMS?
So we are finishing a beta right now, which we will be putting out a press release within a week or two. We've got a few things to tighten up, specifically for recalls for outbound.
Great.
Which is huge for several of our OEMs. And that's where we're at right now. There's a lot left for us to learn in regards to outbound for service for all the leads that are sitting there in the CRM. And I think texting is going to be a huge thing for opting in to be able to give Brooke more opportunities on the outbound side. But yeah, that should be out very, very soon. We've got a couple dealers working on it right now, and she's been promoted.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I put in the historical links a link to Brooke's website and to connect. I want to mention one other thing about education as a general theme. You know, GA4, the deadline's coming up in July. Every dealer's using GA in some way or another. That data stream that they have been relying on stops in July. It has not been postponed. And we added an extra day to DMSC to make sure that dealers know how to inspect, configure, and configure reporting for new GA4. And I put a link in there. We added a special promotion. So if you buy a ticket to DMSC and you want to stay the extra day, it's only $95. And I'm really excited. We have Dan Moore, we have Colleen Harris from Synchro, we have George Nenny, the author of the first really automotive specific book on GA4. And of course, I'll be teaching as well. It's going to be an amazing time. You know, Jared, Ashley shared a little forward thinking. Hey, on our roadmap, outbound has to be there. What could you say to our listeners? What think of Connect 6 months, 9 months? Where do you see some opportunities of adding functionality into Connect AI that dealers should know about?
Yeah, so our roadmap has really been pretty much painted through the rest of the year. It's the integrations with digital retail tools, the ability to ingest that and take everyone who worked a payment last month and incentives were updated, and now dynamically reaching out to them, and the ability to work that deal via text message with integrations with the digital retail tool.
Nice.
All natively with inside of text message. So that those kind of things are coming with that, because we don't want to just take a guest experience who's engaging with a text message and push them to a website. They're there, they're engaging, keep them where they're engaging, and answer their question and get them what they're looking for. And the ability with these APIs, and I know you had a recent LinkedIn article about it, but this is the main component we need to be able to do this. But digital retail tool integrations with additional vehicle evaluation tools that are on the market as well, to be able to really help the dealers handle the other big area of need, which is pre-owned inventory, through whether it be private party or service drive vehicle acquisition. Those integrations with these types of companies to help dealers find and facilitate the next step to our current clientele to acquire inventory. I think those are the big things that we need to plan for in the next 6 months to 18 months, especially when we look at the influx of lease penetration at the dealer level of vehicles that are coming due on lease. If you're a big dealer that does a lot of CPO business, you have to start planning now, because you're not going to get the 100 lease returns a month you're used to.
That's right.
It's not going to be there. So you have to start planning now how you're going to subsidize those. And every used car manager, if you talk to them, going and standing in a lane and raising their hand right now, that is not an option.
Yep.
So we have to find a way to acquire the right pre-owned inventory for certification to maintain our levels and maintain our future here on the used car side.
Amen.
I think that's huge also, for AI, is to give Connect AI something new to say, which I think when you have Conversica and she, calls and says the same thing over and over and over. Are you still in the market? If you have a tool that knows, hey, we have new inventory, and I can get a text on my phone that says, hey, Ashley, you looked at a RAV4 2 months ago. Guess what we got? Especially now with the inventory, like that's huge. For
Yeah, and actually, that's the point about AI, and that's why at the DMSC conference we're going to be tackling this, because we have to start to reimagine what automotive retail is. I wanted to try to keep the live stream to about 30 minutes. Glenn, I want to give you an opportunity to comment. Dealers who are listening, obviously get support from Connect, get support from Brooke, but an overall strategy to create an amazing customer experience normally involves the CRM company, right? Texting company, voice, digital voice assistant, and some other tools, digital retailing tools. And that's where you are really an expert in bringing all those tools together to create a unified customer experience. And normally you could see these broken things into a CRM audit. What if a dealer wanted to get a CRM audit and to see how their sales process could be improved? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
They can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm easy to find, or you can go to pcgdigital.com and we have just a contact us form. But one other point that I want to make sure, because looking at all of this, and you're right, Brian, is we have a tendency, sometimes dealers do and businesses, when they see a new product or services, we just add on and it becomes like a Frankenstein monster. But you really have to, I think the dealers who are really going to be who are successful and will continue to be successful, always start at how they want their customers to feel when they're done. And then they work backwards. So it's a combination of what might people have to do, but what is the technology? So if I come and I see a tool, well, do I really need it? Or is it just somebody at my 20 group who said it was good? Like, if it doesn't really deliver what I want. But the real key to all of this, and this is the same conversation that people have with ChatGPT and all this other stuff, is they thought, oh, well, I could just replace somebody. And I saw somebody post a little, blurb, and I thought it was so spot on, and it ties into this conversation, is that these tools should be like a co-pilot, right? We work together. This isn't, oh, great, I just check a box and they're going to take care of it, or else it's going to just run itself into the wall. It's going to give a horrible experience, because instead of you driving the ship and saying, wow, I have something that can really accelerate over here, but it fits into everything. And so that's something that I look at when I do these audits, is how does everything connect, or else you may not even know what the hell Brooke's saying over here, and Connect's over here saying something else, and your people are saying something else, and then you're wondering why I can't get over a certain number of sales every single month, but yet I have all these leads.
Yeah, friction in the sales process is not often something that people step back and look. I mean, we just did some website audits and brought up some opportunities for dealers to improve. Let me say one thing. I also saw a lot of the comments on the ChatGPT, and somebody said, hey, ChatGPT will not put, or iterative AI will not put creators out of business, just creators who are not using those tools. And I thought that was pretty interesting. I'm going to use a similar analogy. Dealers, at the end of the day, are competing against other dealers based on their ability to make a profit. And I would say that dealers will be less competitive if they're not using AI in their sales process, in their marketing, in their business rules. So it's not, hey, I can ignore AI, or I'm all in with AI. Glenn said it right. It's the dealers who are leveraging their human resources with technology to create an ideal customer experience. And that combination means better job experience, better work-life balance, better effective marketing, a better retention. I could keep on going, but this is why we're adding an AI theme to the Digital Marketing Strategies Conference. This is not basic 101 stuff. And at our conferences, we don't do basic stuff like lead handling. We don't do those workshops. We really are taking the industry one step higher with topics like CDPs, marketing automation, AI, and really this new modern sales process. So let me close today by just encouraging dealership managers. We know it's Good Friday. A lot of people are already off on their holiday or trying to close out the week. But I know over the next week, there'll be hundreds of people who see this video. And I want to encourage you to make the commitment, mark your calendar, May 21, 22, 23 in Austin. Go to digitalmarketingstrategies.org. Look at the speakers, look at the workshops, look at the content. This is not basic 101. This is get your dealership to the next level. As Glenn said, how do we get to that next level? It's going to be a combination of AI, modern sales process, and looking at the entire customer experience. Jared, Ashley, thank you so much for being on today's live stream. I'm super proud of both of your companies. Please check them out. Do not wait to DMSC to click on that connect.ai link or the brook.ai. Please download the research report. It really will give you a better idea of the potential of what reimagined automotive retail could look like. So with that, let's all give everyone a wave goodbye. Happy Good Friday. Happy Easter. Happy Passover. We're going to say goodbye. Thanks for watching. And please add your comments even after the live stream is done. Have a good day.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.